Joaquin was 6 years younger than I, and we shared the same home for the first 10 years of his life, and then I left for college. Joaquin Roberto Medrano Jr. was born 2 months too soon on a Tuesday morning. 50 years ago, babies born that prematurely typically did not survive, and so it may have been anticipated for him when he was placed in the back of the nursery. As she was peering through the nursery window, Mother recalls 2 women commenting on the tiny baby in the back as they mistakenly misjudged his ethnicity due to lack of oxygen. He was ill for most of his young years, suffering medical setbacks, developmental delays, and requiring numerous medications. Thankfully, Mother was able to stay home with him, as his father Jack provided a nice living as a police officer in San Francisco. I remember Mother wanting to, in some way, repay our pediatrician, Dr. Albin, for all he'd done for us. So one afternoon, we loaded up the largest salmon that Jack ever caught, coincidentally the day before, a 35-pounder, and we drove it out to Dr. Albin's home and presented it as our prize gift. I remember it filled the whole back seat of the Buick. We were a little nervous anticipating Jack's return home from work that day when he learned what we'd done. Mother said he had big plans for smoking that fish. Dr. Albin couldn't pronounce Joaquin's name, referring to him as Jokin, and thus started his long chain of nicknames we all gave him over the years, and yes, Boris, I think it was 17, he and I counted. Our weekends were often spent on our boat in San Francisco Bay, fishing, trolling, and visiting Angel Island. And if we were lucky, we'd dock at Sam's and Tiburon for a hamburger once in a while. My brother was always so active. We used to say hyperactive. I remember there was a certain comfort in the containment of the recessed boat deck. It was like a big playpen. Or even better yet, when he was down in the cabin, completely padded and protected and couldn't get into anything. It was a challenge keeping up with him and a continual family effort. He seemed to have endless energy. He continually climbed out of his crib until Mother, exhausted one evening, decided to turn it upside down in order to contain him for much-needed sleep. Always a patient, wonderful mother, she continued to love, serve, and support him all the days of his life. We spent our summers in Anderson Springs. My brothers learned to swim in the bathing pool. One day while waiting in the pool, Mom was explaining to Joaquin about the Homeowners Association and how we all own the recreation center. And she chuckled when he asked, "Which corner do we own, Mom?" Joaquin was 7 years old when his father passed away unexpectedly at our cabin in Anderson Springs, just 2 years away from retirement from the police force. Joaquin told me that he had only a slight recollection of his dad, so it's comforting to know that they are together with his brother Michael once again. When we moved to Lake County in 1971, we were without television, and we had just a party line phone. The boys spent a lot of time exploring the outdoors, and we sometimes played games. We were playing Chinese checkers one day, and Joaquin was not able to get the concept of the game. I remember thinking to myself, this is a simple child's game of colored tic-tac-toe. What's the problem? Seemingly simple things would frustrate him, and he would act out or retreat from the activity. It was only later in his adult life that we learned that he was colorblind. We had been unaware of this disability. I also shared in the last 10 years of Joaquin's life, and I appreciated the privilege of sharing his final hours with him on this earth. In his last days in the hospital, he'd asked to return home, and we'd made the arrangements. But just hours before this, he chose another home, in heaven. You all know that he fought a good fight. I know that he was brave to the end. But what is there to fear when you know where you're going? My brother had accepted Jesus Christ as his Savior, and he is with him now. No more pain, only sweet comfort and pure happiness now fill